my friend, your former friend, says that the management at McLaren are arrogant and they need to go. Presumably he means you.
Yeah, I think, I consider Formula One, a bit of a family, and families live in villages. And, villages always have a village idiot, and he fits the bill perfectly. But I don't consider him not a friend. I just think he's a little bit disconnected with reality. He wants to be colourful, but colourful at other people's expense.
Could it be that there was a team boss better than Horner and Toto? Blasphemy, says the Netflix generation. But wait a minute. Sir Ron Dennis, commander of the British Empire. Kinda makes you think Ron Dennis may be James Bond, doesn't it? But trust me, young ones, as a completely biased, lifelong McLaren fan, the Ron Dennis man is way cooler than some wannabe British spy who lucks out every time a bad guy wants to kill him in some way too elaborate plot.
All right, guard, begin the unnecessarily slow-moving dipping mechanism. Close the tank!
Wait, aren't you even going to watch them? They could get away.
No. I'm going to leave them alone and not actually witness them dying. I'm just going to assume it all went to plan. What?
Drive to Survive generation, you do not know Ron Dennis in all probability, and this is my humble attempt to address this issue. So who then is Ronald Dennis, born on the 1st of June 1947? That was a long time ago. According to that token of reliability, namely his magnificent Wikipedia page, Ron Dennis is, and I quote, Dennis started his career as a mechanic before starting successful junior Formula teams Rondell Racing and then Project 4 Racing, which took over the management of the McLaren team in 1980. Between 1981 and 2009, Dennis was the team principal of the McLaren Formula One team and was instrumental in transforming the outfit into a regular World Championship contender. Constructors and Drivers' World Championships were won with Niki Lauda, Alain Prost, Ayrton Senna, Mika Hakkinen and Lewis Hamilton. Dennis also founded McLaren Automotive, producing supercars such as the McLaren F1, Mercedes-Benz, SLR McLaren, McLaren P1 and McLaren Senna. End quote. But there is so much more to the man that I see as one of the greatest team bosses in Formula One history. Dennis started his Formula One journey as a mechanic for the Cooper team in 1966. So he was like 18, 19 years old. So unlike the Frank Williamses or Christian Horners of the world, he was never a serious driving prospect. But like the Colin Chapmans, his interest was in the team boss side. Unfortunately, also, like Chapman, he would dabble in the dark arts as well, leading to scandals like Spygate, which cost McLaren a mighty $100 million. And the team has never really regained their place at the top since 2007 and 2008.
To Fernando, and I said, Fernando, by the way, I've decided to put Lewis in the car. And he thought for a moment, and he said, don't you want to win the Constructors? Meaning that he didn't feel that Lewis was going to be much of a threat or much of a points scorer.
After starting his own teams and competing in the lower formula, I quote www.grandprix.com. Before the establishment of Project 4, which enjoyed considerable success in Formula 2, Formula 3 and Pro Car racing, the team won the British Formula 3 title in 1979 and 1980 with Chico Serra and Stefan Johansson, and the 1980 Pro Car title with Niki Lauda. End quote. With his Project 4 being a success, he merged with the McLaren team to become the F1 team boss and owner, and soon success would come like a hailstorm. The business-minded Dennis soon got some oil money in, and the brilliant McLaren tag Porsches were soon running riot. Lauda won the title in 84, followed by Prost in 85 and 86. Before F1 changed their rules, as they are still prone to do, and the turbo-powered cars became normally aspirated machines once more. In 1987 they lost their title to Williams, but in 1988 they took it back. They stole the Honda engines from world champions Williams and signed a young Ayrton Senna from Lotus. Turned out to be a flipping stroke of genius. The 1988 McLaren MP4-4 won 15 from 16 races. Check out on our channel, we did a video on this car. This thing was a beaut. Do you know the meaning of the naming of the car, the MP4-4? Well, originally the M stood for Marlboro, which was one of the starting partners in the Project 4 McLaren combo. It later turned to McLaren BM. B stood for Project 4, so it was Marlboro or McLaren Project 4, and the last 4 was a series number. Like the 2024 Red Bull will be the RB20, in other words, Red Bull's 20th F1 car. Interesting to note. Senna, of course, won the 88 titles. Prost took it off him in 89, but their ridiculously intense rivalry meant Prost left for Ferrari and fellow GOAT contender Senna would win the 1990 and 91 titles. Then came 1992, and Adrian Newey's designs started their dominance. McLaren would have a tough time, and their next title would only come in 1998 with Mika Hakkinen, with their title winner being designed by Adrian Newey in 1998. They won again in 99. Dennis sold 10% of his 40% share of the team to Daimler Chrysler AG. You know, that company us normal people know as Mercedes-Benz. So the mechanic from Woking managed to get investment from the poshest of German car makers. Good job.
You must have something better to do with that camera.
In 2000, Dennis was made a commander of the most excellent order of the British Empire. When Mika Hakkinen called it quits, Dennis had the foresight to sign a young Kimi Räikkönen. Man, this guy has an eye for drivers. Just look at some of the legends that drove for him. Niki Lauda, Alain Prost, Ayrton Senna, Gerhard Berger, Mika Hakkinen, David Coulthard, Juan Pablo Montoya, Lewis Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, Jenson Button, and that's not even all of them. Wow! McLaren came close to the title in the early 2000s, but they were beaten by Renault and of course Alonso. Newey left to join some energy drink team, and I'm not sure what happened to them. In 2007, drivers Alonso and Hamilton decided to give boss Ron some nightmarish reminders of when Senna and Prost drove for him, having a go at each other all year, and managed to lose the title to now Ferrari man Kimi Räikkönen.
A very different sort of qualifying session. First of all, you were on the harder tyre compared with your teammate, if you could talk about that a little bit, and also those rather strange delays before you went out for both runs. Was that your decision or the team holding you back?
Team was holding me back.
That was also the year McLaren was found guilty of spying on Ferrari in the aforementioned Spygate scandal. They were fined $100 million and lost all of their constructors' points, meaning they effectively had to surrender the Constructors' Championship. Ouch! 2008 would bring Dennis his last title at McLaren when Hamilton stole it right at the end from Massa. In November 2009, Mercedes bought Braun GP, renaming it Mercedes GP, and announced that McLaren would buy back Daimler's now 40% share of the McLaren Group over a period of 2 years. Once more, I quote Wikipedia. Dennis had stepped down as CEO of McLaren in 2009, handing over the reins to Martin Whitmarsh, but returned to his post in 2014 under the condition that he would seek investment to take a controlling interest in the company. His attempts to do so ultimately failed. BBC Sport reports that Dennis' relationship with OJ from TAG became difficult as early as 2013, culminating in a meeting in October 2016 where OJ discussed Dennis' exit from McLaren. In November 2016, Dennis lost a court case against his fellow shareholders that saw him suspended from his position as chairman. Dennis' contract with McLaren expired in January 2017, and in June 2017 it was announced that he had agreed to sell his remaining shares in both the McLaren Technology Group and McLaren Automotive. End quote. Yes, Ron Dennis was responsible for the rather horrible McLaren cars during his final years in the sport. So maybe he should have stayed away in 2014, but you sure can't blame a guy for trying. According to an article on www.planetf1.com, and I quote Heinz Harold Frentzen. You know why I never got a chance at McLaren? Frentzen recounted while looking back over his career on the Beyond the Grid podcast. In '94 in Adelaide, my manager came to see me. All Formula One teams were celebrating the end of the season, and then I had a call to say Ron Dennis wanted to see me. Ron Dennis came to me and said, "Hey Heinz, how's your English?" I said there might be some improvement in my English. Then I said for fun, "How's your German?" Because we knew that Mercedes was coming to McLaren. "You have to learn German as well," I said to Ron. He had a stone face. I was thinking I was funny, and my manager just pushed my arm and be like, "What the F did you say?" I saw the face of Ron Dennis, and he never ever spoke again with me. He was so upset that I made this joke. That's why I never really had a chance at McLaren, because Ron Dennis for some reason didn't like my sense of humor. End quote. Now you can judge for yourself how much truth is in this tale. We know Frentzen later drove for Williams, where he was a flop, and Jordan, where he actually mounted a title challenge. Ron Dennis was awarded a knighthood in the 2023 New Year's Honours List, and Formula One barely took notice. The man won McLaren 7 constructors and 10 drivers titles. Toto Wolff so far won 8 constructors championships and 7 drivers championships. Christian Horner has won 6 constructors and 7 drivers championships. So with 17 titles in Formula One, Ron Dennis is currently still more successful than the Totonator or the Spice Boy. The man deserves more respect.
I got no respect the day I was born.
Really?
No respect. The doctor picked me up and smacked me. I found out the nurse, she got a few in too, you know.
That's my video on Ron Dennis. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please smash that subscribe button, share the living daylights out of that video, and consider having a look at some of the other pretty cool stuff on our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. God bless and goodbye.